Hey everybody, at the World Masters Championships recently, there were several teams playing Hex, including Surly Grandmasters and the Surly Great Grandmasters, who each won championship titles in their divisions.
For Cats and back of all people, and it is surely for Surly. They are your Grandmasters Open Division World Club Champions.
As well as them, you had the Goldfingers, who did better than they've done before. They've been training Hex for 6 years.
This is much quicker from the Goldfingers. Really nice, skirting through. Barely giving the defense a chance to set.
They apply the principles so naturally that the game kind of looks different when they play it.
Gets it to him, and a lovely little pop through. And that was incredibly smooth.
The team I played for, Zimmer, was also running Hex. We finished 5th, which is the joint best ever result for a GB club at a Worlds event. Got a couple of clips here of us playing, fielding the pool fluidly, and then a nice bit of flow to score.
Whitehouse shooting for Berry, putting it to space. That is a put, that is offense.
The Venezuelan team, Spanglish, were also playing Hex, kind of bringing their team together from all kinds of different areas, getting them on the same page without much preparation time. Les Colettes from France were playing more of a motion offense, Hex-based as well. That team's coached by Florian and Marie.
For anyone that loves to nerd out on Ultimate, you will know of the offensive structure that both of these teams are playing. It is a structure that is becoming much more commonplace. It's known as Hex. It is essentially where the players will create a hexagon in the pitch to try and generate some pushing and pulling cuts, giving each other a lot of space, and it generates some flow really beautifully, and that is exactly what we saw there.
Far side. Oh, and that is such an expansive shot. Is it going to be taken away by the elements?
And there were lots of other players and teams who came and spoke to me and said that they had been implementing Hex with great success, either with their team or with their youth team. I first found out that Surly were playing Hex when I went to the Great Grandmasters sideline, and they all started chatting to me about it, and I heard them call it on the field. And then through that, then I played against the Grandmasters. I actually got beaten by Hex at Worlds. And after that game, connected with the captain, John Sandahl, had lots of good chats with him. So I'm actually going to hand over to him now as he tells the story of how and why Surly introduced Hex, some of the initial buy-in problems they faced, which quickly went away, and then how it worked out for them at the tournament.
So my name's John Sandahl, and I'm with the Surly GM squad. I've played a co-captain role with my buddy Nick Turco, and we won. We won the tournament, which was first Worlds win for Surly ever. At least Surly GM. The Surly GGMers beat us to it by winning their tournament just before our final. So congrats to them on being the first. The story of our getting involved with Hex was kind of the finish of last year's Nationals. Our GM squad really struggled. We were missing a couple of key players on our D-line at Nationals. In particular, guys that were good at moving the disc and keeping the pressure on the other team once we got a turn. So our defensive offense started bogging down, and ended up we lost at Nationals. Not just because of that, but that was certainly a part of it. We probably had 3 or 4 possessions that if we could have converted, either win us the game or make it closer than the 3 or 4 point loss that it ended up being. And so after the tournament, we talked a lot, my co-captain and I, about, hey, we got to figure out how to get more conversions, basically. And part of it is a stronger team, which we did have it going into Ireland. But the bigger part was let's stop running the old Surly offense, which was hoe or side stack based, because we don't really have the practice time, and our D-line tends to want a fast break anyway, and slowing down and taking a stoppage ends up just giving the offensive line a breather and a chance to tighten up the D. So we were looking for something to be a little more aggressive and fast breaky, knowing also that our deeper team would benefit from a fast break style D-line, mostly because we were able to run 2 completely independent D-lines with our full roster. So that was kind of heading into the tournament, we knew that would be a benefit. At the same time, or roughly the same time, our GM squad was trying to solve the same problem, and we practice with them through the spring and summer, and they're many of our friends, former GM players, a lot of them, of course, and they started talking about Hex about the same time as I was watching some videos, and we all agreed, hey, this is something to try, and by we all, I mean about 6 of us, 3 or 4 of the GGM guys and 1 or 2 of us on GM. It ended up that, there was a fair amount of concern about the newness of it, and will this work or whatever. We just said, hey, we're going to try it and see how we do. We actually had 2 training camp weekends. Heading into the first training camp weekend, we sent out, I think it was the intro to Hex video and some basic instructions with the idea that we knew it would be a change. But the reality is there was a couple of new guys anyway that don't know our old offense, so we're all going to have to learn how to play together anyway. And I think we had one or 2 practices where we had several guys wanting to try it out, so we did a couple of those, and I would say there was probably at least a quarter to half of our team was, we'll just say, skeptical at first, and in some cases openly aggressive against Hex. And we said, hey, we get it, if it doesn't work, we won't use it, but we're gonna try it at least as a D line. And the O-line captain, Sam O'Brien, former Sub-Zero Sockeye Carleton player with a lot of experience. He's coached the national under-20 boys team at least once, I think. So he's very experienced player. Was one of those who had a lot of concerns. And I said, well, you don't have to run it on the O-line. It's really fine. And he was at a practice before the first training camp weekend, and we said, well, let's just try it and see what happens. And almost within 2 points or something, he said, oh, I love this. I'm in. We're going to do this on the O-line. And admittedly, it plays to his strengths as a small, kind of shifty and quick ball control handler anyway. And the big concerns that people had going into the training camp weekend was, well, there's not going to be a lot of deep shot opportunities, and what do we do on the sideline? And we said, you know what, we're going to figure all those out. I had been helping institute Hex with the high school team that I used to coach and was helping out a little bit this winter with. That is Minneapolis South High, and Dave Boardman, who was coaching, and frankly, he had some of the same concerns, and ended up, it really helped, I think. The South team played pretty well with it. Anyway, so fast forward to the training camp weekend. By the end of the weekend, basically everyone was on board. We kicked the crap out of our younger Surly Masters team, with admittedly not a full roster, but still we were all there, and we realized, oh, this will work. And there was things to work out, but everybody was basically on board after that. And of course, when we got to Worlds, in some ways, everything seemed to work out well. It kept us fresher. It's a great sort of structure, even though we didn't run it, purely Hex all the time, every point. It's a great structure for bad weather conditions, which helped a lot. It turns out Irish weather really, makes Hex look good. And once we, once we kind of had the basic kind of pain points, that is, what do we do on the sideline, and, breaking the old habits of where do handlers go and who's a cutter and all that sort of stuff. And we just basically got people to say, just imagine you're playing zone offense and don't worry about what the defense is doing. You just get open, and if you don't need to get open because someone else is, then make space. That was about as much real instruction as we gave people. I would say the biggest challenge for us as a team was we have a healthy amount of really experienced players, and then maybe a quarter of our team has not ever played before Surly on a high-level open or mixed club team. And some of those players that were a little less experienced, still good players for us, by the way. Many of them scored a lot of goals and made a lot of plays. But for all the players, really, at some point, the conditioning that they had from us to sort of like catch an under and then convert the disc to a forehand throw in our hand, and then stare upfield for 4 seconds holding a forehand, only to realize that there was 3 players within 15 yards or 20 yards, and any one of them I could have thrown a backhand to immediately, but because I switched my grip, they're all suddenly not open. So we actually had to rehearse hey, you know what? When you catch that pass, maybe just hold the backhand grip until you're forced to throw a forehand. Or if you're breaking a mark on a forehand sideline, maybe you can switch it immediately. But otherwise, just imagine you only could throw backhands and see what happens. And that's actually a concept that I brought over from South. That when we would coach zone offense on South, that was the rule we made. Basically, was you can only throw backhands. So you can learn a lefty backhand if you want it, but you have to throw a backhand. All your pivots are backhand grip. Because it turns out with zone offense, you almost never need to throw a forehand, especially a short forehand. And that way, there was, one or two players we would give that green light to, hey, you can throw a big forehand or a hammer if you're going to blow up the zone. But otherwise, just throw backhands, because it turns out it's a lot easier to throw an 8-yard backhand than an 8-yard forehand. And catch too, by the way. So that actually helped a little bit. If you watch our finals game, one of our few turnovers on the D-line was actually Brent, who was one of our best person defenders, getting wide open for an under right on the goal line, turning upfield, holding the backhand, and kind of trying to throw the flippy backhand that I'd been training him to throw, only to have it get D'd because in the end the guy was kind of waiting for it. And I told him after that, I was like, hey, that's on me. I told you to do that. And, so anyway, yeah, it was a great experience. It was a ton of fun, and the cat's a little bit out of the bag for us. And I look forward to seeing how this whole system and offense grows. I think I look forward to chatting more. Felix, thanks for the time, man.
Thank you so much to Jono, and congratulations to the entire Surly club. Jono added afterwards that he first got intrigued by Hex when the Great Grandmaster Captain Peiko pointed out last year that he was bringing the ideas of dribbler and bouncer roles to practice. After that, he and Kenny led some discussions over Zoom where they chatted about the Hex principles, which is what started to get the GM captains changing their minds. It was interesting to see how widespread Hex was in the Masters divisions. Kind of makes sense. There's like two types of players in Masters who would be interested in it. Those who see the value of it, like the theory of it, and those who just want to try something new after all these years of doing the same things. And also at the youth level, it's kind of a no-brainer for youth coaches to teach Hex because the principles allow freedom and creativity, which they want to encourage in the kids. And the play can be tweaked with like guidelines and trained with just constricted games or expanded games with new rules to practice different elements of it. You don't need to be very strict with the space creation and stuff. It can just be done on the fly. And there's a natural equality of opportunity that exists with Hex as the disc moves around and every individual player is in space. Don is full of interesting takes on Hex. I've learnt a lot already from talking to him, and he's going to be sharing some of the things he used to train up Surly to get them used to Hex in just 2 training weekends. So we'll be sharing that on Patreon, so join the Hive at the training tier to hear more about it. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you again soon.
Koenig and Bernard in the backfield. Bernard throws to a cut that is really tightly covered.
It's been so impressive. It's been shutting them down. You can see why the closest anyone's come to beating them has been 6-point losses at this tournament.
Peterson gets it central and then gets the disc back. And then again, that flick against the wind, sitting it out into space. Inch perfect precision from Surly. You can see how hyped they are as Lyle catches, and Surly absolutely boat racing the Canadians out there.